let's begin then.
Another week closer to death, dear listener. And this is how you choose to fritter away an hour of your time, is it? Well, it's up to you, I guess. Welcome to the Failing Writers Podcast.
Hey, Tommy.
Yes, John.
How's Chad getting on? Have you started like writing your querying letter and stuff, or are you on rewrites? What's happening?
Are those the only options you got? You got any other options there? Or none of those sound like they're happening.
Has he not moved at all?
Tommy, you're on a deadline now. You've got legal obligations.
Yeah.
Nigel Farage is licking his lips.
Yeah. No, in a word, no. But I am aware that it's there. It's struggling with the whole going back to taking it to bits and putting it back together. You need a deep breath, don't you, before you go into that? I just need to.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
I think I actually need to ring fence some proper time for it.
Yeah. Get yourself mentally ready.
It's definitely preying on my mind and slightly stressing me out. So that's something.
That's good.
That's
great.
That's the first. I think that is the first step to writing anything, isn't it?
Yeah.
Some kind of pressure. You need. Yeah, they've got to be some. I haven't managed to just go whatever, sod it. So yeah, there is.
That's good. That's progress.
That's something, isn't it? That's something.
It is.
I've been tinkering. I submitted some more low quality content to DMs. Are open as well.
Yeah, well done.
I had a little think to myself, because I remember last time I did this, probably 20 years ago. I think I wrote some really, really good stuff, sent it in the first week, didn't obviously get anything on, and then sulked. Yeah. And I thought, do you know what, this time I'll try and give it a few more weeks before I sulk and think they're stupid for not accepting my stuff. Do you know what I mean? Just
be a bit more grown up about it, Tom.
A little bit, yeah. So
I was thinking about this, Tommy. I was thinking, if you write something that's a bit more generic, then, it might not be right for this week, but they might use it the following week.
Possibly terrible advice, isn't it?
So
for the sharp, satirical,
topical,
time-sensitive, on the money, just write something that's generally about,
just keep it funny.
Write something about airline food or mother-in-laws. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks, John. Yeah, cool. I'll
welcome.
I will keep that in mind.
Yeah.
I'm mocking you for saying that, John, but at the minute that seems to have an equal chance of success.
Yeah.
So yeah, who knows? But we'll find out again. It's not. You got to be in it to win it, haven't you? So
yeah, exactly.
Anybody else been doing anything this week? Anyone?
I've been thinking a lot again about something. I've actually been
thinking, not doing.
Yeah, thinking, not do. Thinking is doing, though, isn't it? In a way,
I suppose. Yeah.
It depends how long you're doing it for, because then eventually it becomes not doing, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, I thought about it for a very long time. No, I've been having really good, hard thinks this week about our poker night project, which is something I'll probably talk to you about a little bit later on, because I think I've just been having some revelations and ideas, and I think it needs discussing.
Yeah, brilliant. Where and when are you having these?
Do you know what? I was watching. I watched the final series of Derry Girls last week. I don't know if either of you have seen it, but
not all of it, but
I've seen
halfway through
a little bit. Yeah.
I think it's absolutely brilliant. I think it's so well put together, and it just made me think an awful lot about sitcoms and what sitcoms could be.
Oh God, is that a sitcom or a comedy drama?
Well, this is the thing, you see. Basically,
it feels more like a comedy
drama. It's not though.
It's more sitcom though, isn't it?
It's a sitcom. Yeah,
it's just not old-fashioned sitcom.
Yeah.
It's what we were talking about the other week about how
this is new
sitcom kind of straddles the comedy drama line.
But it made me think that actually, without naming names, most of what Emma Kennedy said to us was completely wrong about what a sitcom
completely
is.
You're going that far.
Yeah, I'm going in that hard. But the thing is, I think after that episode, after that chat we had, I think it made some major differences to our direction that we were going. And I think we've taken some wrong turns, and I think we need to put the brakes on and turn back.
Oh, interesting.
Well, John, tell us very quickly what you've been doing. I'm not that interested, because now Dave has piqued my interest in that. So just very...
not a lot. Carry on, Dave.
Well, okay.
Let's have a poker night chat. Let's do it now.
Yeah, I think we should. I think the crux of the idea that we had at the beginning about it being a sitcom actually works, and we were thrown off by this idea that a sitcom has to be about one person with this sort of character arc. It doesn't at all. Most sitcoms are about a group of people, and it was watching Derry Girls and thinking, well, okay, this is about this sort of coming of age thing, and it's the backdrop of the troubles in Northern Ireland. But basically, it's just about this small group of friends, these four girls and one boy, who just have all this warmth and love for each other. They're like a group of friends. And the stuff that they're doing each week, although there's this big thing in the background, actually they're just little things that they're trying to achieve. And being foiled in it.
But they all have their very sitcom character flaws, don't they?
Exactly, yeah. So there's like
they have their two-dimensional character flaws.
Because there's the horny one, there's the silly one, there's the outsider, which is the boy at a girls' school.
The boy, the English
There's
lad,
the clever but neurotic one, and the sort of literary grand ambitions but doesn't have the intellect to achieve it one. That's the little group.
Yeah.
And I thought, actually, that's where we started with Poker Night. Was like this group of friends who get together every week or every month or what it is to have this poker night, but that's kind of irrelevant. It's about the relationship between them. And when we started talking about it as like a comedy drama, we started putting all these objects in the way of, they can't get on with them and there has to be someone trying to bring it all down and all that. And actually, I think that's gone away from the core concept, which should be, you know what it's like with your poker night, John, and with mine, it's a group of friends who actually like each other getting together to do, because it's something they want to do. And I think it should be like that. I think there should be that warmth within the group rather than, it's sort of being pulled apart. And then it's just a vehicle, really, for us to have loads of stories about real people in their real family lives.
Stories and gags and funny situations.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Which sounds like that is where we started from, and we started from there because we think that's our strength in terms of writing as a trio.
Exactly. And all we really needed to do was come up with these characters and put them in a room, and then we can think of funny things for them to do.
Funny.
I was going to ask though, have we moved that far away from that, do you think?
I think we did, because we started working on this comedy drama thing that had like a sort of linear progression, didn't it? This sort of new person comes
story.
in.
We're talking about deeper stories, more worthy,
and pulling it apart, and someone's got to try to keep the night going, and all of this sort of stuff. And it shouldn't. It's just like this just happens. It happens on this regular basis. It has done for a long time.
I felt though that was the first time. Once we kind of came up with that was the first time something clicked, and it seemed possible to write something. Whereas before that, it was like, we've got a group of people.
Hasn't really been borne out in actual fact.
Well, no.
It felt like we could write something.
No, that's true. But there are reasons for that, though. There are reasons for that. We'll get onto that in a minute. But, I mean, I know I do know what you're saying, Dave. But I feel like we haven't come that far away, really. We've still got the same kind of concept, but we've possibly just made it a little bit more interesting, or given ourselves something to wrap it around, or but it can still be the same thing. It can still be a group of friends.
But I think what we started to take out was the warmth between the group.
Right.
We started thinking of ways to pull them apart.
Trying to find the conflict.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Rather than
See what you mean.
you don't need. I don't think we need that. I think this is a sort of solid group of people who want to be together.
Well, the thing you get with Derry Girls, or even something like Friends, or pick anywhere they've got like a little ensemble cast, Last of the Summer Wine, all the classics, anything like that, Dad's Army, you name it. What you have is the group that works and there's friction in the group, but like you say, there's that love and friendship there. But it's them versus the world, isn't it? Yeah. And they always either lose or kind of come out even, but never really succeed in the true really sitcom. That's a sitcom, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
So, do you mean you could take, like I said, you say anything? Dad's Army, they never really win.
Yeah.
No,
they'll struggle and they'll have the little victories, but they never win the war.
Yeah,
as it were. Obviously, they did. That's a really bad metaphor because that's literally what happens in World War II.
Really, yeah.
But I think that's the same for any, isn't it? So maybe we just need to stop trying to put ourselves in little boxes of what things are called.
Yeah,
exactly. We ought to just start writing some scenes, is what I was trying to say. We don't need to think of like the big story. We just need to think of some of the little stories. There's just the little bits and bobs.
Some big stories will spawn up out of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Running gags or running stories or overarching.
Yeah, that's what Jeremy was saying, wasn't it?
Yeah, we basically came up with the cast of characters, didn't we? We had the sort of, the slightly older one, we had the slightly stupid one, you know what I mean? We've got that there. Yeah, so if we just come up with some little scenes, some little
Yeah.
sketches even that, like with those characters in.
Yeah.
Then from that we can start to
Yeah, no, I think
tie stuff
sketches.
together.
That's a good.
Yeah.
a good.
It's exactly what Jeremy said, wasn't it? That's kind of how they began, is just writing a bunch of sketches and then trying to sort of...
All due respect, I don't think we're going to get anywhere listening to some kind of BAFTA award-winning sitcom writer are we, on this. I don't think that's
absolutely not.
Yeah,
No.
Let's just go with our gut instincts, shall we? Because
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying, is that what we should do, we should go away, not immediately because we've got other stuff to do right now, but we should just write some sketches based on those.
That's lovely failing writer style that day. Just when we've got a bit of momentum, everyone's feeling a bit fired up. But let's just clarify.
No.
We don't need to do it straight, but let's give
No,
ourselves a little bit of time.
when I said
on
not
this.
right now, I mean like not this, like right now,
Exactly
because
now.
otherwise,
Yeah,
we're
not this
doing
month.
this
I'm with
right
you.
now, aren't we? Just
No.
when we're not doing this anymore, do that.
But that might bring us to the elephant in the room.
What's that?
Well, it's not really even an elephant, is it? It's more like a woolly mammoth. We're just sat around chatting away, and there's a mammoth in the corner, and the weeks are passing very quickly, and we can't get together to write.
Yeah.
But we can't beat ourselves up about it, because there's a legitimate reason why we can't currently work on it together, and that's basically Dave doesn't have the time at the moment.
It's basically me, innit?
Yeah. What are the ways forward for this? Because I think there's...
Are you thinking swap Dave for someone else?
That's one of the options.
So if you're listening now and you feel like replacing, do we replace him on the podcast as well? Just so it's easier then, isn't it? It's like all...
That's what we want.
Send your audition.
So that's
tapes
option
in.
one.
Yeah.
Right, what's the better
Option
I
two...
tell you what, see if anyone can send in a ditty. If it's good enough, let's
No, we'll
hire
keep
them.
you on the ditty. You're good at the ditties,
You
Dave.
can improve on Dave's catchphrase and you're in. No way, Dave. No way you're
It's not
going
gonna
anywhere with that
happen,
one,
is
son.
it? Hey?
Yeah.
No one's beating that.
No.
Number two, we accept it for the time being. We work on other stuff, more little tasks, because they're quite good fun. They're quite good fodder for the podcast.
Yeah.
Number three, we find a way of like dividing it up into smaller tasks that we can work on when we've got time.
Yeah.
Like ideally as well, things that
Yeah.
are
That's
fun
what-
to report back on, things that we can actually share with listeners that aren't too obscure.
Yeah, well, that's exactly
Yeah.
what I'm thinking. Because
The little
instead
little
of
sketchy things would work really well with that. Yeah.
exactly. Because the whole part of this season was talking about collaborative writing. It's very difficult to do collaborative writing if you can't actually
Collaborate.
collaborate. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if we could just each
It
of
really
us,
has surprised us what a large part of it that
it
is,
really has.
hasn't it? It's really
how
just
writing stuff
broadsided
together.
us.
We'd
Yeah.
never thought that writing stuff together would actually
Why did no one
involve
tell us
being
that?
together at some point.
Yeah.
But I think, to be fair, I think originally we all had the idea that we'd all be sat there on Skype while we kind of wrote together.
Yeah.
But that's not going to be possible, is it?
That
at
was
the moment?
there before I got
And it
a
might
job,
at some
wasn't it?
point. Again.
But
Who knows?
But I think
But-
if we just all go away and try and write some funny things and report back,
Yeah.
that would just be a great way to start it off.
Yeah,
wouldn't
I think we've suffered. We've suffered.
would give us
I think we've
something,
suffered a
wouldn't
little
it?
bit because we've all been. I think we're all of the mindset that we kind of want the framework set before we start. And as soon as we thought we'd have the framework set, then we thought we could go off and do different bits and rewrite
Yeah.
each other bits. And we've just stalled on not having. We don't feel like we've got a set framework
Yeah.
to begin in.
Yeah. We haven't got that big sheet of paper on the wall
Yeah.
of the office that we're all sat in.
So I think you're right. And you said it about
things
either
stuck to
something
it.
else, John. We just need to ignore that
Yeah.
Yeah.
and crack on.
Obviously, there are huge dangers inherent in that, because we could all just go off in totally different directions. But actually, I don't mind
doesn't
that. It doesn't
matter.
really
It
matter,
doesn't
does it?
matter,
It's
no.
just getting stuff out there and having ideas and bringing them back together. So let's not worry about
And I
it.
think the different directions is what will bring a depth and better right. That I would hope that's how it becomes a better
Yeah.
product than if we were doing it individually. Than if I said, right, I'm going to write a sitcom. It would be
Yeah.
a me sitcom with my jokes in it, with me jokes, and the same for you two. But hopefully by mushing it all together and even possibly ending up better by writing separately.
I think so.
To some
I
extent,
think because
you will bring all that in.
Yeah.
And it will fit together because funny's funny.
Because the alternative, we can either argue about the framework of it for ages, never reach a sort of an agreement, and then try to do something after that.
Because it's going to be very difficult to wholly agree
Yeah.
with three
Yeah,
of us.
or
isn't
we
it?
can write bits and bring them together and argue over them.
But if you
I think that's
if you put enough stuff on, it creates a framework, doesn't it? if you write enough stuff and put it all together, it exists as a it gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
I guess we'll
Are
find out.
you saying if we throw enough shit at the walls?
I mean, it's in a different sort of. I mean, there is. Yeah.
There's an element of that, isn't there?
I guess it's not even if you throw enough shit at the wall. If you throw enough shit, eventually the shit will make a wall. So
Yeah.
imagine there's no
And then
wall there to start
Build a
off with.
wall out of shit and then throw some shit
If we
at
stand
it.
facing each other and just throw shit, eventually it'll meet in the middle.
I'm not
and
sure I've got
over
that much
time,
shit, to be fair.
It will make some kind of.
Something resembling a wall.
It'd be more of a mound,
Well,
wouldn't it?
Yeah.
We'd take that now, though, wouldn't we, John? We'd take a mound now.
We'd take something.
Yeah.
Take a mound.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that sounds like a
Good
plan.
point.
I
It's
think.
the start of a plan, isn't it?
It is. It's amazing how just laughing at something. I find this more than any other sort of genre of stuff. But if I find something really funny, it usually really inspires me to go and try and do something like something else that's funny. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like laughing at that the other night made me think. Do you know what? We should just get on with this, and this is how we can do
I think
it.
Derry Girls is a really good example as well for spurring that on in you, because it's such a simple framework, isn't it? You know, we're talking about the kind of getting the framework sorted, and it doesn't get in the way of anything.
No.
Like you say, it's there, and that's why it exists, and that's the world it exists in. But past that, it just vanishes into the background, and like you say, it's just the 4 or 5 main friends. It's their dynamic that does it, and like we said, the more you look at anything from Dad's Army to The In-Betweeners, it's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah. And it also got me, the other thing about it is like how short some of the scenes could be. I think that was kind of instructive as well. Like you can tell, because most episodes of most sitcoms will have 2 or 3 stories going on at the same time.
Yeah.
There'll be like an A story, a B story, and a C story. And when you get to like the C story, there might only be like 3 or 4 scenes in the whole
entire
thing.
episode,
And those scenes might only be 30 seconds to a minute long. You don't need much to tell a story. And that's kind of where I was of like thinking, if we all go away and just start to write some scenes, some ideas, we might be, we might end up with an A story, B story, and a C story for the same episode that we can sort of mash together.
Stick it all together,
Yeah,
bish bash bosh.
That's how, in an ideal world, in the dreamland in which I reside, that's how it works. We'll all go away, we'll write 3 different things, we'll just put them together, and that'll be it.
It'll be like the changing rooms of comedy, wouldn't it? Of sitcoms.
Yeah. You do the electrics.
That's it. I'll do the stenciling.
Yeah.
And then
Actually, John,
you
you
do a
do
bit of painting.
have something of the Lawrence Llewellyn Bowen about you these days.
it has been mentioned.
Says you, Carol, smiling. I think that makes so much sense. I'm thinking we probably need some other projects on the go as well, because that sounds like it's almost finished, doesn't it? It sounds like it's pretty much.
That is in the bag.
We need something new to stimulate us, because
we really do.
if anything, I feel like we've worked on it too much now. We've really kind of.
You need a little break, do you, Tommy?
We do. We just need to leave it and let it grow itself. Do you know what I mean? I think we don't want to overwork it, do we?
You can over practice, can't
That's
you?
it.
I think.
Don't want to get the yips, do we?
Exactly.
No,
we don't want to be in
absolutely.
Yip land again.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It sounds like you've had some good thoughts there.
Do you know what? All this thinking I've been doing, really quite productive.
It is. There's me mocking you at the beginning.
You did, didn't
saying
you?
that you haven't done nothing.
Because of what Dave's usually like
Not.
with his thinking.
You've done more than the rest of
Yeah.
us. Well done. So, moving on. What have we got on the podcast for the rest of the podcast?
What a link. What a link.
Everything. Succinct, erudite. Just beautiful. Beautiful.
Tell you what, Ant and Dec are going to be
Nothing.
shitting it about presenters of the year this year, and they
for
haven't got a
once.
hope.
So what is on the podcast for the rest of the podcasts?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Tommy, because I've got an idea.
Oh, God.
Maybe.
I think we've had enough ideas today. Dave's ideas seem to have worked somehow. Should we not stop there? Quit while we're ahead.
I think
It's
maybe
only going to be downhill.
maybe we need a ditty.
What should we do? What would be best? I'm not really sure, I have to confess.
A mystery guest, that will be best, a mystery
When
guest.
there's nothing you need to get off your chest, what might ignite a fun little jest?
A mystery guest, let's open the chest of a mystery guest.
How about a quiz, a fun little test? Maybe a person that you have to guess.
A mystery guest, that's what I said, I mean literally yes to a mystery guest.
No, can't think of anything.
I give up.
Ooh.
Another one of John's mystery. I hope this goes better than your last mystery guest outing.
Yes, there were some issues with
Yes.
the last mystery guest, weren't there?
We've got a mystery
Do we
guest.
get any clues or anything? Or like,
I'm not going to give you any clues just yet. It's somebody that you know.
Right, so we already know
That's
them.
all I'm
We
going to
already
say.
So we know them, but we don't know. We know that we know
Already
them.
know them. Have they been on the podcast before?
You're not allowed any more questions.
Oh.
You can ask the mystery
All
guest.
right, okay. What is your name?
That's cheating.
Oh, wait a minute. So it's a man.
Did you not get it from that? I got it straight away.
But I mean, you do know who it is, don't you? Phil?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That'll be why.
Have
Yeah.
you read John's tree book?
No.
No.
None of it?
No.
You lucky bugger.
I really don't know who it
Come on,
is
you
now,
got some questions. It's obviously someone who has written. So why don't you ask them about
Oh,
that?
that narrows it down. Yeah.
Oh, what have you written?
A book.
Is it any good?
Not really.
That's
Okay.
not true.
Oh.
That's not true.
What was the book about?
Myself.
So it's a man who's written a book about themselves. I mean, that could be a lot of
could.
people, couldn't it? Could we, Tom, narrow it down a bit. Ask some other questions. Do you have? Are you wearing glasses?
No.
It's not Guess Who, Jay.
Do you have a hat?
I'm going to read you a little bit of the Amazon blurb.
All right, okay, that's good. Yeah.
And you shout out.
Yeah.
You shout out when you
All right,
know
okay.
who it is.
This is
Yeah.
where John reads the wrong Amazon blurb, and we're like, "Is she a clothes dryer?" What?
Okay, I'll miss out the first bit because that gives it away straight away. Actually, it all gives it away, to be fair. Follow her frank, hilarious, and terrifying quest to find Mr. Right as she encounters some of the best and worst the internet has to offer.
Shelley,
Hiya.
did you go to Bradford University?
Yes, I did.
You can't
Bloody
ask
hell.
questions now you know what it is, Dave. That's cheating.
Do you know what though?
Well done, Dave.
We have actually had that. I still can't believe this, but we had the same conversation about Bradford University twice because we had the conversation and then I totally forgot we'd had that conversation.
Yeah, I
And
only
then-
had that conversation with someone the other day, actually.
Did you? Was it me? Was it me again?
I don't think it was.
How are you, Shelley? I haven't spoken to you in
I'm great, thanks. How are you
Ages.
all?
Yeah, good.
Very
yeah,
good, thank you.
Good.
Pretty good.
Good. Here we are then.
So the reason I invited Shelley on the show is because she's written a book.
Yeah.
And also, she self-published that book. And at the time, Tommy was thinking about self-publishing his book. And I was also thinking about self-publishing the Valentine's book, the love stories.
Yeah.
And I thought it'd be nice to talk to somebody who's actually gone through the process and maybe pick her brains about how you do it and what the pitfalls are.
That sounds like a really good idea, John.
It does sound like a decent idea,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
And this was your idea, was it, John?
Well,
Did you do this all by yourself?
so Shelley, why don't you tell us about your book?
What do you want to know about
Just
it?
read it all. Just read it all out.
I'll tell you what, shall I finish the blurb? Because it's quite good, the blurb.
So the first thing to know is the blurb is very good, and that's because that's the one bit I didn't write. I got my friend who is in PR to write that bit, which is why it's good. So carry on, John. You read out the only good bit about the book.
Right.
Okay, so this is the best bit of the book.
Perhaps we get them on. Can we get them on instead? They're in PR.
So, yeah, she encounters some of the best and worst the internet has to offer, from the most perfect dates with beautiful men who break her heart to the scariest and even the smelliest of weirdos. You could not make it up. Her determination to always see the best in people is heartwarming, and her ability to laugh off the most embarrassing situations will make you want her to keep swiping right.
Can we tell people what the book is actually called now? No, it's not a mystery, so people can,
It's called It Started. I'm going to say it if you don't say it, Shelley.
It started with a swipe.
There you go. It started with a swipe. And I have a confession to make, Shelley. I haven't actually read your book. But that's mainly, can I just say that's mainly because I count you as a friend and it felt a little bit too weirdly like prying. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I have many issues with the book.
You have issues with the book.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Why did I write a book? That was a bit silly, wasn't it? Like about my actual life, and it's out there, and there's loads of copies out there, and I can't get it. I can't get them all back.
Oh my God,
Well,
yeah.
that's a good question, though. That's a good question to start.
Yeah.
Why did you write the book?
Because I was going on all these dates, and the women I was working with have all been with like their husbands for years and years and years. And it was like if I'd been on 2 dates in a week with 2 different men,
to them, they're like, oh my God, that's like the most terrible thing ever. But I'm like, but you don't understand how different it is. So they were all like, and every time I'd go on a ridiculous date and come in with a story, they'd be like, oh my God, you should write a book. And basically, I stupidly said, you know what, I will. And then because I'd said I would, I overcommitted. And then I was like, oh, I now think I have to actually go ahead with this ridiculous thing.
So you got bullied into it, basically.
Pretty much.
At what point, though? At what point from when you decided, right, bugger it, I'm going to write a book, did you then think, do you know what? I think I actually can write a book.
So I started writing about this one guy in particular, and then I decided to stop writing about him because writing about him was more like a weird therapy session, which I didn't even realize. So I was like writing all this stuff, and I was like, God, it's quite therapeutic. It's quite therapeutic.
Yeah.
This presumably was a guy you actually liked. Or it was just a bit weird?
It's a guy I liked. Well, I thought I did, but I didn't know him.
Right.
That's the thing. I
Yeah.
thought I knew him, but I didn't.
Yeah, it's easy to like someone when you don't know them, isn't it?
It's just a lot easier.
It's when you get to know them that...
I like all of you because I don't really know you.
I think that's probably it, yeah.
And then do you know what? I don't know what point it turned. I think I just got, basically, once I commit to something, I can't, I'm a very dedicated person. Once I say I'm going to do it, I just do it.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
So that's why, that was the point where I was like,
Oh, you're on the right podcast then, I'll tell you that for nothing. 'Cause that is us all over.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So in some ways, what you're saying, Shelley, is that it was actually more successful than you wanted it to be. Because really, you didn't want that many people to read about your life.
Yeah, and it's like, and I don't even know why I then, one of the problems, I had many problems, but one of the problems I had was I then decided, God knows why, that I'd then go back to the beginning of my whole love life, back to the age of 16. And it's obviously all real. So then I tried to
Wow.
So I wrote about from being 16. Then I had to try and add this bit in, which I'd written, but I'd stopped writing, and then I started writing. So I think it's a bit disjointed. But yes, but it's just out there, just everything about my life. And my dad hasn't read it. My stepmom has read it. My stepmom was really mortified, actually. She was like, she read it and she said to me, I'm so sorry that I didn't know that you've had this really terrible time all of your life with all of these men. Like, it's fine. But then my nan read it, and the only reaction from my nan, who is now 96, so she was just in her 90s when she read it, she just gave me a cheeky little tap on the cheek. I imagine she'd like to have slapped me a little bit harder, but it's not. That was it from my nan. We've never discussed it
Probably
since.
best.
Probably best.
So then, so you've got to the end. You've written this book. When had you decided when you were writing it? I'm going to bloody self-publish this, or was it? How did it come about?
So you all, I presume, know the lovely Emma Clark, who writes books and stuff, and she's written books and self-published. So I actually asked her what she did, and then I copied what she did, but I copied it really badly. So she does it successfully, and I do it badly. So she gave me, there's like a number of like companies you can go through to self-publish through, and I researched them. She also, I was like, how do I make it? Do I need a designer? I need a front cover and a back cover. Yep. So again, she gave me this designer lady that she knows who was amazing. And she said, actually, this girl knows how to format it and do all that sort of stuff and put it into book form, which was great. But also,
so what was it? It was just on like a Microsoft Word
doc.
It was.
I sent her a Microsoft Word doc. Yeah. In fact, I'd sent 3 very good trusting friends. I sent them the Word doc before I sent it to anyone else, just to check that it was actually of any interest.
And what did they say?
They said, yes, it's great.
That was lucky, isn't it? That was lucky.
Well, they're not going to, were they going to tell me it's crap? I don't know.
I don't know. But so are you listening to this, John and Tom? What she did was, very wisely, Shelley, sought outside help to people who knew what they were doing to put it together.
Yeah, but it didn't necessarily work for me, because I also found myself a proofreader, because I was like, surely my grammar and my everything is terrible. I can't remember how I found a proofreader. I think it was through a friend of a friend. And I paid this lady to proofread it. Yep. And I made the massive error of when she sent me the Word document back, I don't really understand Word well enough, and I clicked a button that was don't approve any
discard all changes.
Basically, discard all changes. So that went well. So I then had to kind of go through it and try and work out. But then it was in a really weird format, because it has the thing down the side where you
Yeah.
Some of them were there and some of them weren't, and I was
Thing
like, oh
in the
God,
world.
this is terrible.
I mean, Bill Gates has given a lot of money to charity and stuff, but bloody hell, that's annoying, that little review.
It's to make up for that.
Just that and the bloody paperclip.
I think most of it was to make up for the paperclip, wasn't
it?
So once I'd reread it through a million times and decided it was going to have to do, I then got this designer lady who formatted it, and yes, so she put it into, I think it was a PDF, and she's like, throughout the book it's got little quirky little things. So I set up a Pinterest board that I shared with her of all the fonts that I liked and things that I liked in books and stuff like that. And between, like, to be fair, she was amazing. She worked me out pretty quickly and could kind of work out what I wanted. But then my next error was so she was going to upload it to the company that I used was called Ingram Spark. They do all the
Heard of them,
yeah. But I put in the wrong book size that I wanted, so the book isn't the size that I want.
It's massive.
50 feet wide.
It actually is massive.
Is it really?
It's massive, so therefore the book's quite thin because it's such a big book.
It's only got 10 pages.
Yeah.
But it's the size of a fully grown man.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm pretty up there with the failing writers because I failed at a lot of things.
But for like £4 on Amazon, it's very popular with homeless people because they can just live in it. It's
so
big,
just to
sleep in.
And then obviously
You did it though, didn't you? You did it.
I mean, I did, but the other thing is that I was like terrified about was I had to change all of the guys' names that I talked about because some of them I'm still friends with. So some of them I messaged to say, hi, this is quite awkward, but I've written a book and you're in it, and I've changed your name. So I based all of them on other friends' ex-boyfriends was how, because that's as well I needed to remember who I'd renamed who as.
Yeah.
And but you have to change like their jobs and you have to, so that they're not recognizable, because then I was like, are all these men going to sue me? Because as well, I was copying text messages word for word.
Right.
So I mean, the whole thing was quite terrifying. The only one that came back to me was a guy I dated at university, actually, at Bradford University, who I'm very good friends with. And he basically was absolutely mortified of what he read. And he's like, I'm so sorry. This is awful. I've read, what can I do? And I was like, oh God, I feel like I've ruined your life by writing a book about you. So it's all quite traumatizing, really.
It sounds it, yeah. But so where's the positive then, Shelley? Come on, where's
I every month still, so it's been 5 years, every month I'm guaranteed payment.
Yeah.
So you can buy it as Kindle or you can buy it as paperback on Amazon. Every single month for 5 years, I have had a payment. Generally, it's about 67p.
That's not to be sniffed
Can't
at.
argue with that, can you?
No.
Well, the tax man's not listening.
You'll have a third of that.
Do you know what though? I spent so much money producing it that I've still not made back. The taxman's fine, basically. I've not made enough to make back what I spent in paying people who I then messed up the hard work that they did for me.
I'm getting the feeling that overall it wasn't such a positive experience. Do you regret it, would you say, or are you still glad you did it?
I wouldn't do it again.
That was going to be my next question.
So there's no sequel on the horizon then.
No sequel. To be fair, it also took so much of my time. But then I think I was like looking for something to do instead of date men, because I was bored of dating men. So it filled a slot in my life.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's sort of, they say that sort of happy people have no stories, and because your story had a happy ending, didn't it?
Yeah, so, but not in the book, because the book, well, it did have a happy. The ending was that I was just happy on my own. The end.
There we go.
And the other thing that was nice, actually, the other positive thing was I had lots of people message me, not necessarily to say you've inspired me to write a book, but like lots of friends or people I've not heard from for years saying that they've always wanted to. One girl really randomly said, I've always wanted to be a hairdresser and I never have had the balls to do it, and your books inspired me. And I was like, how? And she said, because you've sat and written a book and it's like massively inspirational that you've bothered to do it. So
you didn't write it with hair though, did you?
I know it's a bit weird, but
I mean, fair enough. Yeah. Well done for being an inspiration.
And there was lots of people that messaged me to say, oh my God, thank you, because you've made me feel like it's not that mental, that I've been doing the same stuff.
That's what I was thinking. There must have been some nice feedback from that.
Shared experiences of people, cathartic.
Yeah, everybody was very, very, very lovely.
What did you do in terms of marketing it, Shelley? Because I remember seeing like Instagram posts and things.
Yeah. So one of my friends at work who was in marketing, I didn't even think about marketing. I mean, it's clearly really obvious, but it wasn't something I thought of. And she said to me, how are you going to market it? I was like, I don't know. She said, whilst I was writing it, finishing it, getting the copy, the proofreading, all that sort of stuff, she said, I think you need to start a blog and I think you need to start social media. So I started to write a blog, which actually, to be fair, I think my blog was probably more successful than my book.
I remember reading the blog, yeah.
I quite enjoyed writing the blogs, weirdly, and I don't regret any of those. Probably because I could delete it at any point, but I can't put the book because it's out there. So I just did loads and loads of social media and the blogs, and then I did some paid advertising on Facebook and Instagram.
And did that seem to work?
I think so, a little bit, yeah. I mean, I was going to go full out.
67p tells its own story, John, doesn't it?
I mean, to begin with, I was making like 20-something pounds a month.
All right, no one likes to show off.
The other hilarious thing is, because obviously everybody that I know wanted to buy a copy, I presumed that when it's live on that date, so the date I released it was the date that my dad married my stepmom, because that's a very happy love story. So I decided to do it on a particular date. And I presumed that you'd be able to just have the book by then, but even I didn't have the book. I hadn't seen the copy of it by that date. It was quite terrifying. But because all my friends had clicked, because you could click pre-order on Amazon obviously got excited, like, oh my God, this book is going to be massive. So I don't know how many they pre-ordered, because through Ingram Spark, they order, they like do print on demand. And they were obviously like, well, this demand is going to be quite high. So they bought a lot of copies. And then I think for months and months, they still had a lot of copies. And so they're probably sitting in an Amazon warehouse somewhere.
So do you know, do you have how many roughly have you sold?
I don't know, because through Ingram Spark, they don't just sell it on Amazon, they sell it in Waterstone, WH Smith's.
Right.
They sell it all over the place, so I don't actually know. Would be quite good to know, actually.
Oh, we'd know that right now, wouldn't we, chaps? We'd be able to tell you the number right now.
We'd know moment. That. It would be...
It's easy when you only need fingers to keep track, though, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to do anything for your anxiety about people being able to read about you. Yeah, no, it's not going to help, is it? Going, actually, it's thousands, literally thousands of people.
Yeah. But also the hilarious thing is, I took the day off of the day of the big, massive launch, because in my head, also, like, I don't know what I thought was going to happen, but my friend wrote me a press release that I sent to like all the local newspapers and all these, and obviously not one person contacted me, so I just sat on the day off, on my day off, drinking coffee.
Yeah, we always talk about the Jonathan Ross effect, where you start planning your appearance on Jonathan Ross and what you should say and not say, and where 100%. Yours probably sits more in the Good Morning with Richard and Judy.
Well, I thought this was going to turn into a film. That's what I had. I had high visions of it. It's like this, because there still isn't. Well, I suppose there is. There's quite a few cheesy American ones.
British.
I was like, surely this is so great that it's going to be a film. But what I will say is, the reason I didn't go, because I was going to. In fact, I did email a few actual publishers, but I opted out of it myself, because everybody that I contacted said that, apart from the fact it takes so much longer, but it took me a year from when I finished it. It took me about a year for it to be published.
Yeah.
But I didn't want anyone, because it's all real.
Yeah.
Everybody said to me, a proper publisher will change it and will rewrite it and will change things in it. And I didn't want anyone to rewrite my actual story, which is why I just decided just to do it with all my bad grammar and spelling and everything.
Are you saying there's still a few little typos in there?
Well, I can't bring myself to read it. So since it's been a book, I've never read it. I don't think I ever will.
See, you haven't actually seen
However, because also I'm on Goodreads. Does things just go on Goodreads automatically?
No, actually, everything seems to be on there. But
I had a random. That's the other thing that freaked me out, was the randoms when you get a review from somebody that you don't know. So I'm like, oh my God, someone random's bought my book, which is amazing. But then they just slag off your grammar and your spelling, and it's really great.
What was can you remember your nicest review?
Do you know what? I think the problem is, so many of my friends wrote me reviews that I have like 49 amazing reviews, and then this one bad one from this random man. So I can't really tell you.
Well, have you found that inspiring, chaps? Made you think this sort of this happy story?
Just do things better with more detail than I did. I rushed it. I wish I hadn't rushed it, to be honest.
And also, as I said at the start, you actually did it,
Yeah,
Shelley,
that's true.
which is
Well, that's it.
very much one up
Yeah,
on any of us,
yeah.
isn't it? So
Yeah, that's a
it's
very
easy
good
to
point.
sort of, I could have done that differently, whatever. But at least you just got off your ass and did it, which is something to be
I
applauded.
mean, you never know. I did leave 2 copies. I used to take them wherever I went. Whenever I went traveling, I'd take copies and leave them. I'd write in them and leave them in like in hotels where you get like book exchanges. And I always wrote a note in it to say, "It's me, the author. If you're reading this, please tag me in Insta." Because I'd love to know if someone in Thailand was reading my book because I left it on the shelf.
You should have left a few that said, "Oh my God, I've just read this book and it's the most amazing thing I've ever read. You've got to read this and give it to all of your friends. Signed, definitely not the author."
But instead, I've had no one ever message me to say they found my book and read it. So
Wouldn't it be amazing if they were not just still in the same hotels, but when you picked it up, there was a perfect outline of dust where it just
probably is.
never moved. That would be horrible.
Normally, when we get to the end of speaking to someone about the book they've written, we say, "Oh, well, we'll give it a plug." And I don't know, do you want us to or not? So it's like, do you want more people to read it, or is that just kind of make it worse?
I mean, yeah, there's all them 67p's.
All right, come on, guys. Want to get up to 80p next month? With your help, we can do this.
Would you recommend self-publishing to other people?
Do you know what? If it wasn't a book about myself, yeah, because it is actually amazing, really. If you think about it, it's mad that like just some words that I wrote in my flat on my own is now in an actual book, and it does blow my mind when I think, how did I don't even remember how I did it and how I did the ISBN and all of it. I don't know how. Yeah. I don't really know how it happened. So I mean, it is really, I guess, it's a pretty thing. I do have one of my friends gave me she got someone to frame the front cover and do me a little plaque for when it was released. So I do have that on my wall as well. So
for a second, I thought you were going like, when you said, "Oh, I've signed books and left in places," I thought you were going like properly over the top and you'd done a blue plaque outside your house.
Well, my house is being renovated, so that's
get a blue plaque on the outside then.
It's about to be rendered, so maybe I do need a blue plaque.
So I've got one more question for you, Shelley.
Yes.
Have you thought about writing another book?
No, because I don't really know what I'd write about. And like I tried to carry on the blog, and there was a girl whose book I read that was semi-similar that wasn't very good, and she was blogging, and I was so like, as soon as she's released the book, she stopped blogging. That's just ridiculous. I'm going to continue, and I did continue, but because obviously I then met Ted. In fact, I re-met Ted on the launch day.
Oh, wow.
We went for a coffee. That's what I did actually do. That's what I did do on that day. But because I then met him, it felt a bit weird, and because then it really is real, and it's like I don't really want to be one of those people that your entire life is out there for every moment of everything that you're doing. So I don't know what I would write about if I was going to. Also, that's a very good point, is that I gifted him a book for Christmas because I didn't want to get him, and he's never ever read it. He doesn't want to read it.
Fair enough.
Very, very wise.
Yeah.
I mean,
it
kind of part. It sounds a little bit like a nice gift, but then if you look at it, it's actually A, I don't really want to read that, and B, you've just told us that they printed thousands of them to begin with, so you had loads left over. You've been leaving them in hotel rooms all around the world. Here you go, Merry Christmas. Have one of them.
I think though, I think it's a man thing. Because I think if Ted had a book about him, about his entire love life from the age of 16. I would have read it before I even met him. Like, I can't believe that he had.
I mean, that copy would be falling apart now.
Yeah, like obsessively rereading it, looking up people on Facebook, trying to work out fake names. Yeah.
What do you mean by that? Oh, I'm like Susan, am I? from 1998 to 1999, September.
So no, I think if I could think of something to write a book about, then yes. But otherwise, I think I'm done.
So you obviously enjoyed the process of writing.
I did. It was
that was actually quite cathartic.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I actually, more than I think I realised, to be honest. Yeah. I didn't have to pay for any therapy sessions. I just wrote a book and taught everyone to read it, and then everyone came and talked to me about it. So it's like free therapy.
Oh, well, thanks for joining us, Shelley.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, thanks, Shelley. It's been lovely to talk to you.
It has, and you all. Take care. Bye.
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 But you're not actually
actually was a mystery
I know,
guest.
it was
It's like was actually a
genuinely
mystery
a
until we
mystery.
guessed it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
nice. I haven't spoken to Shelley for such a long time.
No.
There we go. She just did it, though, as I said repeatedly. She just did it, Tom. So, no
And
excuses.
is now regretting it.
Well,
That's a
yeah,
pleasure.
that's true. Yeah, there is that. But
Yeah, that was kind of, that's like a mixed outcome, isn't it?
but there we go. Yeah, that was great. Inspirational and motivational and all of that sort of aspirational.
All the other ationals.
All the ationals. All those
Every ational.
good, solid rap
Are there any bad
words.
ationals? I've said that out loud. Are there any bad ationals? There aren't, are there? It's not like an ist. Ationals are all right.
No,
aren't they?
ational's fine.
Motivational. Yeah, no, I think it's
I
all
think
right.
it's all right.
Drop
I
us
think
a
you're
line
safe.
if you can think of any negative ationals, and then we can chastise Tom
Yeah,
about that.
sorry about that. Anyway.
Well, that was lovely, but have we got anything else lined up?
We have.
Chaps?
We've got 2 interviews next week. We've got one with writer, podcaster, futurologist, writing tutorial writer, Joanna Penn.
Holy
which is
moly.
Very exciting. I'm a keen listener of her podcast, so that's very exciting indeed. Very jazzed to be chatting to her. And we've also got another chat with a lady who's written a book called Write Without the Fight, which is soon to be
Rhymes,
released.
that rhymes.
I know, isn't that clever?
Yeah.
And it claims to help you write with ease and satisfaction.
That
Imagine
sounds
that.
good, doesn't it?
It does sound pretty good, doesn't it?
Well, we should talk to her
But
then.
I wouldn't like to say which one of those lovely people will be appearing next week. But maybe we could think of it as another mystery guest, but with a slightly less mystery involved. But it's probably going to be one of them two.
Something front and deck to take note of. Just don't be specific
Oh,
about what's going to happen. Just say something.
Yeah.
Someone's going to be on.
And just like Anton Deck, you can win everything that's been in the ad breaks on this podcast.
Yep. Oh, what a prize. Oh, well, great. Well, I'll look
Yeah.
forward to one
It's
of
starting
those
to smell
things
an awful
happening.
lot like the end of the podcast, isn't it?
It is a bit.
You know, kind of.
Wait, hang on.
What was that?
No. I got another
It's
smell.
like pine, like a
It
pine
smells
smell.
like sap.
Like toilet clean. No, I don't think it's toilet
Yeah.
cleaner, is it?
Yeah.
It smells.
Oh, yeah.
Smells fresh.
Yeah, I'm getting that.
Is it the drops of gratitude from the trees?
Actually, having said that, do you know what? It has been brought to my attention that some people haven't realised that the tree story is available after the podcast is finished.
They've been switching off.
Some people have just been turning the podcast off before the tree and haven't realised that the tree story is there.
Crikey.
Parts 1 to 4 of the tree story are now available to listen.
Is it part 4 today?
It's part 4 today. Yeah.
So they're not. Hang
Wow.
on. So they're not available right now, though, are they?
Yeah, they are.
Only after this. Only when we've finished saying this, that it will be available.
You're right. But it is available if people forward wind a little bit.
But if
Dave.
they're listening to
Yeah.
us saying they're available, they're not available yet.
I think because
only
you've said that
available
the
after
4th
we've
or 5th
finished.
time now, Dave, the chances are they have pressed like the forward 30
That's
seconds
true.
button.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I've done them a service then, haven't
You
I?
have. You've
So-
really helped out. It's very kind of you.
Yeah.
Very kind of you. So, yeah, all 4 parts. No, all 4 parts. 4 parts. There is a 5th, I
There
believe.
is. Next week will be the final part.
The conclusion.
Yeah.
Wow.
When you've been recording it, John,
Mm.
have you been like, I wish I could change that bit? Or have you been flagging? Have you just been plowing
Do you know what?
through?
I haven't changed a thing because we talked about this, didn't we? And I said I'm not
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
change it, but I did. The one thing that I agreed most with, once I'd understood what you were talking about, was the mention of time sped up.
Oh,
Because at the
good.
time I didn't know what you were talking about. I thought you were talking about
Good.
when the tree was talking, but it's
No.
in the letter, isn't it? And Alfred's
Oh,
talking.
yeah. It's very explicit.
Yeah, so I got rid of that because I
Probably
do agree with that
unnecessary.
bit. Some of the
Brilliant.
other stuff.
Brilliant.
I mean, I could give feedback on your feedback, but I'm not gonna. But I
think
I
we're going
partly
to never
agree with
decrease
some
it.
of it,
That's
partly
just-
don't.
yeah,
But yeah,
No, that's good. I think the thing is with feedback though, like that, it's not just to accept it all
Yeah,
blindly. anyway,
definitely.
It's to evaluate
Yeah,
it
yeah.
and to think. I see. As long as you can say,
Yes.
I see where they're coming from, but I disagree.
yeah.
Then I think you're all right.
Yeah.
If you just blindly go, no, that's wrong. I just completely disagree. I can't even see what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
thinking. Then there's something amiss.
Yeah.
But I think if you can sort of take it on board and go, okay, see what you're saying, but nah, this is my vision. That's what I think it should be.
No, I think you were totally right about that bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I remember having that discussion with myself when I was writing it.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I think when you get the feedback that reinforces the discussion you've already had and you couldn't really.
You've
put a
already
foot either
thought
way,
of.
Yeah.
It kind of pushes,
Yeah.
doesn't it? So that's good.
Anyway, that smell's gone now. So
It has, hasn't it? It's just wafted out through the door, didn't? Yeah. Pump some more in, and let's just say goodbye. Should we just
Let's
say
say
goodbye?
Bye.
Goodbye.
But
Dave,
don't
stop
don't
it.
no, don't switch off yet. I'm just saying, don't switch off yet, because just leave it. Wait until the wow, 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 wow. Give it 5 seconds, and then part 4 will be on. All right?
Why don't?
Okay.
Can you do a different end bit, Dave? Than where's everybody gone? That then doesn't sound like. Can you just say, "Where's everybody gone? Oh, look, they're over there listening to John's story," or something like that?
Okay. All right.
Do it now, and then I'll put it at the end.
Where's everybody gone? Oh no, they're over there listening to part 4 of John's tree story.
There you go. That'll work a treat. See you next week, people. Thank you for
Take
listening.
care.
Cheerio.
Bye.
But no, I enjoyed that little guessing game.
I mean, you were terrible at it, and you thought I was a man, but that might be because I've got a very quick voice at the moment, but I'll let you off.
I think it's the facial hair, to be honest, John.
Hello.
Hello?
Where's everybody gone? Oh no, they're over there listening to part 4 of John's tree story.
The Ancient, Part 4. Thicker and thicker became the world breath. We breathed it hungrily, noting the warm times stretching longer into the last grow. She rarely came now, vanished like sky heat, made into darkness. The only foot tread came from others, new ones to pass through us. Still we listened and waited for them both.
24th of March, 1985. Dear Alfred, I can't live like this anymore. The years are ticking by and I've found nothing. I've searched everywhere I can think of, through bank records, under floorboards, old receipts, and not a single thing that might link him to Mary Greenaway. I was beginning to think that I might have got it all wrong. Then this afternoon, he caught me looking through a pile of old boxes he keeps in the garage. I've already looked through them, but I thought I'd look again just in case I missed anything. The thing is, I happened to notice that underneath the stack of boxes, there's a safe in the concrete floor. Unsurprisingly, it was locked. But I bet any amount of money there's something incriminating in there. Unfortunately, whatever it is, it's probably gone now. Stanley went berserk when he found me. And to top it all, I'm certain he suspects I've discovered it, even though I managed to throw a box over it just in time. I told him I just wanted to have a clear out. But Alfred, I'm so nervous. I'm not sure I convinced him. I'm scared, Alfred. He's watching me all the time these days. I'm sorry, I've run out of ideas. Your lawyer still has nothing either. I get the feeling he thinks we're delusional, to be honest. Oh, Alfred, I can't stand it. He came to me in the spare bedroom again the night before last. I couldn't even bear to touch him. And you can't imagine how angry it makes him. He's beginning to add everything up, I know it. I would leave him, but where would I go? I don't have my own money. Stanley controls all our finances. I don't know anyone outside the area. I couldn't stay with Dolly and put her in danger too. And I can hardly go to the police. I need to think of something soon. Love, Betty.
6th of April 1985. Dear Betty, I have a friend who I'm sure would put you up for as long as you need. He'll never find you there. She works for the Forestry Commission. I think you two will get along like dandelions and dock. I'll send Dolly her details via a friend and write to you there from now on, unless you tell me otherwise. I'll also write to my friend now and tell her about you. Good luck, and I'm so sorry this is happening to you, Betty. Love, Alfred. 20th of April 1985. Dear Betty, it's been 2 weeks and I still haven't heard from you. I'm officially worried now. If you can send me word, please let me know you're all right. Dolly hasn't heard from you either, and both of us are freaking out a little. She and Bob have been over to your house several times, but no one's answering. I've sent a copy of this to H's too. I don't know what else to do. For God's sake, if you get this, be careful. I hope you're safe. Love, Alfred. 8th of May, 1985. Dear Betty, I still haven't heard from you. I'm going slightly out of my mind, stuck here, unable to do anything, so I've decided I'm just gonna assume you're okay and keep writing to you. I've been distracting myself with old science journals, finding out more about the greenhouse effect. In a copy of Nature from a few years ago, 2 climate scientists, Wigley and Jones, seem certain it's a genuine threat to the planet. They think atmospheric CO2 concentration will be sufficiently high by the turn of the millennium for the effects to become detectable. And we need to start changing our habits now if we want to avoid significant climatic change. Meanwhile, we're deforesting the planet and burning more fossil fuels quicker than ever. I think I might need a more diverting pastime. Maybe knitting or decoupage? Oh God, Betty, I hope you're okay. If you get this, please write back as soon as possible. Love, Alfred. 21st of May, 1985. Dear Betty, so I had a visitor today. Stanley came to see me. He at least reassured me that you're okay. To be honest, for a while there, I was almost glad to see him. He said he knew what I was up to and told me in no uncertain terms to call off my lawyer and stop trying to prove my innocence. He as good as threatened to hurt you if I don't. It seems he knows everything, Betty, so I can't imagine what you've been through in the last few weeks. He also suggested I need to stop contacting you, or he would have me injured again. So I'm fairly sure my stabbing was meant as a warning. I'm certain now that all my outgoing mail somehow ends up in Stanley's hands. It seems he has friends everywhere. I'm hoping to smuggle this letter to Dolly via a friend instead of posting it, but whether it ever reaches you is another thing. It'll be risky writing to you as often, so letters might be infrequent from now on. Not that you're getting any of them anyway. I'm so sorry, Betty. I'm out of ideas. For the first time since childhood, I've actually turned to prayer. Poor old God, always having to deal with the desperate. He must get quite fed up with time-wasters like me who only come and knock him when the chips are down. If you can find any way of getting a message to me to let me know you're okay, well, at least I might sleep again. Love, Alfred.
12th of October, 1985. Dear Alfred, I hardly know where to begin. I'm so sorry for the silence. I must have put you through it. When I tell you what's happened to me since the last letter I wrote, there's a strong chance you might not believe me. Stanley had me committed again. I tried to tell the staff at Raw Lake he was lying, that he was doing it to shut me up because I'd found out that he'd killed someone, but of course, the more I said it, the more insane I sounded. I should have known they wouldn't believe a woman who's been committed before over her chief superintendent husband. I tried to escape so many times. In the end, they resorted to sedating me. For the last few months, I've mostly been living in a drug-induced fog. 2 nights ago, though, they forgot to sedate me. In a daze, I managed to hobble into the office when no one was looking and take a bunch of keys. I thought I might have to lower myself out of the upstairs window in the middle of the night, but in the end, I simply walked out the front door. I've never moved so fast in my life. I somehow found my way to Dolly's, but someone was watching the house, so I rang her instead, and she gave me H's number. I got on the first train there, and now I'm writing this from H's terrace, reading through your letters, listening to Winton, and looking up at the forest. I can hardly believe I made it. It's beautiful. Mostly plantation, but everything else that surrounds us, the whole vista, is quite breathtaking. It's the first time I've felt like myself for years. And H is lovely. Still as beautiful as the scenery at 50. It seems she had a bit of a thing for you at university. She's been telling me stories from that time. She tells me you refused to go out with her, that you told her that there was someone special in your life already. I wonder whom you meant, Alfred. I'm very happy and grateful to be here, but I can't stay forever. I haven't seen Mum or the kids for months, and I feel so useless with you stuck in there. It's so unfair. Why do the people who have the most power always have to win? Take care, Alfred. Betty.
23rd of January, 1988. Dear Betty, how is it where you are? on the Nithering side, I imagine. I hope you're well. It must have been nice to see Hazel and the grandkids. Doing the crossword yesterday, I almost missed one of the headlines. Police convicted killer using genetic fingerprinting. I lay in bed last night thinking about it, then I suddenly realised, what if they could analyse the tooth? The premolar found buried with the body. I'd be able to prove it's not mine. It may already be too late, but if that tooth is still in some evidence room somewhere, I have to get it to a lab before someone makes it disappear. Do you know anyone in the police we could trust to send it to Alec Jeffries, the geneticist at Leicester University? I know it's a long shot, but I think it's the last thing that might prove once and for all that I'm innocent. I await your thoughts as always. Yours, Alfred.
15th of February, 1988. Dear Alfred, exciting news. There's a policewoman I've always got on with, Catherine, who I've known for years. I called her the other night and ended up having a much more frank and open conversation with her than I was expecting. At first I thought she sounded apprehensive, but she's just called me back and it's possible she might be able to help. I told her she could be getting herself into deep water, but that only seemed to spur her on. She's going to have a search around for the tooth tonight when there are less people around. I definitely won't be able to sleep tonight. Oh, Alfred, imagine. Or maybe it's better not to imagine. Either way, I can't help hoping. And that's something I haven't felt for quite a while. Hope. I'll write to you again tomorrow or the next day and let you know how it went. Yours always, Betty. 25th of February, 1988. Dear Alfred, I wish I was writing with earth-shattering news, with some incredible tale of good triumphing over evil, but I'm afraid that doesn't seem to be the way our story has been written. You were right to worry about the tooth and evidence. It's gone. Probably long gone, I imagine. I'm sorry, Alfred. I was so certain. Also, to add to our woes, I heard from Dolly that Charles Harlington has won a suit to tear down the Brammingley side of the forest. 40 acres west from the stream. They've already begun, apparently. The old path where we used to enter the woods as kids will be a housing estate by this time next year. I couldn't be any more heartbroken today. Perhaps I shouldn't have written. On top of everything, I'm sure there's someone watching the flat. A skinny man in his 40s. No one I recognise. He's been coming and going all day, standing at the bus stop for a while, but never catching a bus. Occasionally he looks up at the window. I haven't left the flat all day because of him. Probably nothing, but I'm so paranoid he's tracked me down. I'm going to send you this via our usual channels, but I just want to let you know I'm heading back home. I'm tired of being a victim. I'm going to see if I can't open that safe, and maybe stop the Harlingtons taking the forest while I'm at it. Wish me luck. Love, Betty.